What we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a scene study. I'm going to go through a scene that I did from episode 6 called Night Calls from season 2 of Frog and Toad, which is on Apple TV Plus. And Apple has submitted this score in particular for Emmy consideration. Yeah, so go ahead and what we do is we'll play the video, we'll watch it, and then I'll kind of go through bit by bit kind of how I approach this. And then after you have like a full thing of how I did this, we'll go back through again and watch it again. So go ahead and play the video.
No resting yet, Toad. I do not want you to miss out on all the fun of setting up our campfire. You go gather stones for the ring, and I will find us some firewood. Toad, would you like to help me get ready for dinner?
Dinner? Now that is something I do not mind helping with.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Frog and Toad there, and just as like a little bit of background on Frog and Toad, so you can understand the show a little bit. Frog and Toad have very different personalities, but it's because of those differences it makes them have this like beautiful friendship. Frog is generally peppy and upbeat, and he has a bright outlook on life and can't wait to share that with his best friend Toad. Toad is a little more unwilling to go along with things at first, but ultimately he wants his best friend happy and he's willing to go along for the ride. So that's sort of their dynamic in that. Frog and Toad in this one they were going camping, and it's a really fun episode where there's a lot of fun, unique places to put music in there. And this, along with a lot of other episodes, it has a montage. It's this kind of like montage scene of them doing these things together. So if we see at the very beginning, from like 0 seconds to the 10-second mark, Frog is telling Toad they got to go and they aren't ready to rest yet. But it's at 11 seconds the music begins, and this is what I typically did, which was kind of fun. If you'll notice, the music starts when Toad's right foot moves. So when his right foot moves and he's kind of plodding along, you'll see that his feet go with the beat. And I used that as a way to set the pace. Whatever Toad or Frog, whoever the guy kind of trying to track and personally go, I'm going with their walking pace because they're walking a lot in this show. So you'll see that as soon as that foot hits, the right foot hits, they're kind of like marching away, and the upright bass picks some. They play some pickup notes going into the scene. So at 14 seconds, the portion of the montage scene starts with them building a fire. Now, classic camping memories. This is what I thought of whenever it came to this, and I thought, when I was growing up, the thing that made me think of travel and being away from home was these commercials that were on TV for Motel 6. And there was a guy, his name was Tom Bodett, and he would say, "We'll leave the light on for you." So Tom Bodett had in these commercials, they always had this kind of thumb picking guitar. And I thought that would be a lot of fun. So I called up a buddy of mine. His name's Tim Galloway. He's like a CMA Guitarist of the Year. I can't even tell you how many years in a row. And I said, "Hey, if I gave you a melody, could you come over and maybe like let's track this melody, but let's do it the thumb picking style. This like real kind of to inspire this like sort of, like I said, travel feel. They're away from home. They're out in the woods, and so I wanted that kind of feel." So he came over. He knew exactly what I was talking about, and he laid down this thumb picking style guitar. And he actually came up with a pretty great rendition of the melody I had come up with. And so I matched this with acoustic bass, mandolin, and brushes because I thought it kind of had woodsy, organic sounds, and it just kind of felt right. So this portion of the montage has that. Now they finish building the fire, and Toad is ready to rest. He's tired. He's ready to rest. So I sort of pause the music. You'll hear a like a kind of a long note to kind of pause this cue for us a few seconds, and this allows Toad to lay down and Frog give his side of they have to keep going. They've got food. He says, "Would you like to help me get ready for dinner?" Well, Toad jumps up the 33-second mark. He jumps up and he says, "Dinner." Well, when he jumps up, that upright bass starts again. So the pickup note starts again and he's ready to move again. Now, because this is different, this is a different scene now. We're going into him getting ready for dinner. Same scene, but just a different function that they're doing. So I decided to make it a little bit more sophisticated. We switch to piano. We get rid of the thumb picking guitar. We get rid of the mandolin, and we switch to piano. And I do more of a Django Reinhardt gypsy jazz guitar for the rhythm section. So we've got this little bit more sophisticated dinner music that's about to play. So we start with that, and it kind of just changes the feel. Now, when this happens, there's a couple of moments that are kind of fun in here that are fun to accentuate with music. It was always called Mickey Mousing in the past, but my dear friend Frank Garcia, he always called it frog and toading, which I liked a lot better because we're not exactly like Mickey Mousing. It's more of a frog and toading. We're accentuating these fun things that they do with the music. So Frog sits on a mushroom, and when he sits on that mushroom, I thought it would be fun to have like an accentuation of that. So you'll hear this little octave hit on the piano when he sits down. But the fun part for me was yeah, so when he sits, the band stops. You'll hear the band kind of hit a hit and the piano hit the him sitting on the mushroom. But the fun part for me was he gives a little pushes, like he's kind of sitting up and down in his chair, in his mushroom chair. And I thought that would be fun to kind of do the same thing audibly that he does because he goes like down, up, down, up. So what I did was I did a little jazz move on the piano, da 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 da, and he does this thing. Now, this was like a little personal note for me, but he does this thing where he laughs, and I noticed it after when you're writing this stuff and you're doing this, you watch the scene about a million times but it almost felt like a jazz band. When they you'll hear somebody do a little riff and they laugh and they kind of have like a moment that they all caught this little thing that one of the players did. You'll see Frog laughing, and I always thought, oh, that's kind of fun. It's almost like a jazz band that Frog was laughing at my little jazz riff that I did there. Anyway, that was just for me. That's a little personal note for me. Um, so this sort of ends the they're ready for dinner and it sort of ends this sort of jazz scene. So Toad comes over, he's got a backpack, and he pulls out a white tablecloth over this. Now, white tablecloth, we've got formal dinner. So what I decided to do in this moment was there's a piano that sweeps up, and now we're in a totally different setting. The tempo's the same, the mood's sort of the same as well, but this is more formal. So I switched to a Baroque style of the same melody and harmony, but now I'm using staccato strings. Now I'm using a harpsichord so we could see the formal dinnerware, the formal silverware, everything's being placed out. And we sort of stay in this formal setting until Toad brings out what's for dinner, which they're camping. What does he bring out? He brings out beans and he sets them down. Well, that's a funny joke. So I thought, how can I make this joke funnier? So leading up to that joke, I took these staccato strings and I sort of built it up and built it up and built it up. all leading to, and this is going to be super music nerd stuff, but it's a dominant chord with a timpani hit. I thought it really kind of gave this funny, emphasized the joke of what that joke was. It really, really built up to that moment. So we're going to watch the video again. We're going to see all that I did throughout all of this, which is, I got to say, this is the most fun job I've ever worked on. It was so much fun to do the music for Frog and Toad, and so much fun to come up with these moments. And as you can see, it's a lot of work. This is only a minute long clip, but it's a lot of work for a minute long clip. But how fun is this? You know, we get to do all of these things. So some of the things we're going to watch for again, we're going to watch it again. Some of the things I want you to watch are Toad's foot marching with that upright bass at the very beginning, the Motel 6 finger picking guitar, the instruments changing from the first part, the finger picking, to the piano, to the gypsy jazz guitar, the jazz riffs, the accentuation of moments that happen, and the formal setting of the harpsichord, all leading up to that big fun chord with the timpani as he lays out the beans. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at it again, and hope you have fun watching it.
No resting yet, Toad. I do not want you to miss out on all the fun of setting up our campfire. You go gather stones for the ring, and I will find us some firewood. Toad, would you like to help me get ready for dinner?
Dinner? Now that is something I do not mind helping with.
Mm-hmm.
There you have it.